Hey guys, Morgan's Maintenance, episode 67 of Guess the Trade. But first, let's go back and talk about episode 66, where we looked at Doug 1637's loadout. He had a Milwaukee backpack. We saw a few pictures of the inside of his van, his power tools, and things like that. And then he had this one picture here where he said, anybody that knows what these tools are, they're going to know exactly what it is that he does. Well, what does he do with his tools? He said that he works in commercial fire suppression, more so in commercial kitchens and things like that. So I had no idea whenever I was watching it, going through it the first time while I was filming it. But then whenever I went back while I was editing, I saw that his M12 ratchet was hanging on a fire extinguisher hook. And that started making me think and put two and two together on like the pull pins and all sorts of things like that. I still didn't guess, commercial kitchen fire suppression, but I knew he had something to do with fire extinguishers, fire suppression of some sorts. And many of you were guessing right there along those lines as well. So really good guessing. Again, Doug, appreciate you sending your loadout. Well, today we're going to look at one loadout as well. We're going to look at Hunter C99. He has a snap-on toolbox as well as a Matco toolbox. So very rare that we look at toolboxes. It's almost always tool bags, but again, we can always learn something from someone's loadout. So we're going to take a look at his toolboxes, see if we've got any questions for him, see if we want to know what some tools are, and then see if we can figure out what it is we think he does with those tools. But let's go ahead and check out Hunter C99's tools. So looking at his first picture, again, a red and black Matco toolbox, pretty sweet colors, also pretty good size toolbox right there. I'm not sure the full size on that. Looking in the background, you can see lifts, all sorts of things. I think it's pretty obvious that he's probably going to be a mechanic of some sort. Maybe some of you can guess more specifically if you're in this trade. Again, I only work on my own vehicles. I never work on anybody else's. So not a lot of tools that I'm probably going to know what they are whenever I go in here and look at these. But again, we can still learn things. I'm sure he's got some stuff hanging on his toolbox, magnetic stuff and stuff like that I'm looking forward to seeing maybe. Maybe I can implement those in my toolbox at home or also maybe in my truck or something like that. So again, his first picture, there's the outside of that toolbox right there. We'll move on to the next one. There's just a little bit of a different view. I think there's a black toolbox we look at in a little while too that's a snap-on. I don't know if it's the one over there across the way. We'll have to see here in a minute. I just glanced through them whenever I first opened it. Matco also are a Mac Tools. It looks like a rolling stool or something right there. Next picture. So yeah, here is a snap-on cart, but this one actually has drawers all the way down. So that's not the one we were looking at a minute ago. And again, he's got, I think that's a Husky magnetic rail thing up there at the top because I've got a couple of those in my drawers. We've also got some PB Blaster, I think it is up there. Maybe not. I can't hardly read that one. Then silicone lubricant, but we'll move on to the next one. So here's another view. Again, lots of magnetic parts trays, really big ones, medium size, circle ones, all sorts of things right there. Here is also a cart that he's carrying around. Let's see, he's got a Matco tool. I don't know if that's like a silicone, magnetic, whatever parts tray. Not real sure on that one. Again, I don't know a lot about Matco and Snap-on. I'm not too up to date on those tools. I'm not going to know part numbers or anything like that. He's got the Sure Shot over there that you can pump up and keep using over and give yourself a compressed whatever it is he's got in there. So here's up close. Let's see if we can see what this is now. Pro Straw B something. I'm not real sure. The can kind of looked like PB Blaster, but it starts with a B, so that's not what it is, but it does look like it's a penetrating oil. So let's see, it's a Cornwell magnetic thing. Now, Husky has some that looks dead up like those that I've got. Coast Light over there, also lots of adapters, magnetic pickup tools, little small screwdrivers. Let's see, some lights up there that are green and black. I'm not sure the brand on those. He's got a Snap-on something there as well. And we'll go on out and go to the next picture. Here's a downward view. So let's see if we can zoom in a little bit here. So ratchets, again, I'm sure they're Snap-on or something. So I can't see any of it. Also swivel sockets. Looks like he's got 1/4 inch 3/8 sets in there. I don't know if that goes up to 1/2 inch sets or not. Looks mostly like 1/4 inch and 3/8. Lots of probably pry bars over there on the left. I don't see that I'm seeing anything else that we're missing or that I haven't mentioned up there on that top. So we'll go back out, move on to the next picture. Now we're getting into the drawer. So here's all his wrenches. See if we can zoom in here. Yeah, I still can't read any of those either. So, well, my Matco down there at the bottom, and then Snap-on over there at the top right. Matco in the middle. So a bunch of those are ratcheting wrenches in the middle. Those are just your regular wrenches over there on the left. And then he's got some flex head Malcos down here at the bottom that are double-ended as far as the ratcheting ends. Those are metric, it looks like. I see 18 millimeter. Move on to the next picture. Let's see. Now we're getting into smaller ratchets. Let's see. I don't know what all those things that are colored over there. He's got red, blue, green, white. Couldn't tell you what those are. Pick set right there in the middle, snap on. I think I just bought something very similar to those. I got the Icon set. I just picked these up at Harbor Freight, but looks pretty well. The handles and everything looks like just like those. So I'm sure this is probably the Icon snap-on clone type thing right here that I just picked up here recently. So he's got that pick set. Lots of extensions. Also got some Cornwell. Looks like a really big pick set right there. And then more extensions over there on the left. Let's see. Again, I've seen that this right here in the middle here is like you add it onto your wrench and it gives you more leverage, kind of like a cheater bar for a wrench type thing. I don't have one of those. I just know what that is. So next picture going downward. So here's something I am interested in because I've been looking for some plier racks. My pliers are just thrown in my toolbox. So if you've got good suggestions, anybody out there, make sure and throw those out there. So we've got, looks like lots of long nose extended reach. Also some of those what I call hog nose pliers. Again, someone else might call them something else. Looks like he's got some Knipex pliers, wrench cobras, some locking pliers, some adjustable wrenches, some all plastic over here. Looks like, I don't know what the brand, the all green ones are, but those look like it's, all of a plastic material or no metal, so that for whatever reason. Also, tongue and groove pliers, big orange handled pair. I'm assuming those are Matco based on the other thing that's orange is Matco. Oil filter wrenches over here on the far right. Let's see, just your standard pliers down there at the bottom left. And again, probably lots of tools that I have no clue what they are specifically for names. There's a small pair of the Cobras down in there. The little EDC, I haven't picked them up yet either. Moving on to the next picture. Here we go. Now we're getting into some power tools. Looks like he's got Milwaukee pretty much for the most part. Also a few Matcos. So he's got the Milwaukee. Looks like high torque based on the size. Also looks like maybe mid torque M18. Extended reach M12. A couple different ones. I don't know if any of those are the Insider or not. Maybe that middle one almost kind of looks like it's a Insider, but I think that's just a 1/4 inch extended reach. So it looks like he's got 1/4 and 3/8 extended reach, and then also a 3/8 high speed possibly, and then a 1/4 inch of the older M12. Also has the M12 Surge, looks like, down there in the middle, and then the M12 Stubby, and then he's got some air tools as well. Matco, and then he's got, let's see, Matco, and I don't know what that middle one looks like. Maybe Ingersoll Rand, maybe, yeah. And then a couple other little die grinders as well. So that would be a question, Hunter C99, only because I don't have a clue, and that's a big debate. Whenever you get into using like an Impact or something like that, have the battery powered ones kind of come up to par with the air ones? That's kind of the big debate between woodworkers of an air nail gun versus a battery powered nail gun. Job site use, in my opinion, the battery powered ones are the way to go. No hoses. Now, if you're working in a workshop or whatever, maybe air hose is a little bit better. So I'm curious what you think about as far as for your type of tools. Would you prefer, if you only had to pick one, which one would you go with? The air powered Impacts or your battery powered? Just let us know that in the comments below. But there's all his power tools. We'll back out of there, move on to the next picture. So down here we got, again, more extensions by Copal Cast. Maybe some of you know what those are, or CB. Actually, it might be CBPEP. Maybe that's a part number. That's probably a certain brand. That's not the brand. That's probably a part number. Matco Blake Bleeder wrench set. You want to know how I know what that is? Because it's got the name written right there. I wouldn't have had any clue. So Blake Brake Bleeder wrench set. Also, now he does have a caliper, spreads them apart over there. I've got that tool, actually. One of the few tools that I've seen so far that I do have. So then he's got also more extensions or some actual, those look like spark plug probably sockets over there. Spark plug socket set. He's also got some caliper hangers, some pins of some sort down there. We'll go on to the next drawer. So now we're getting into some hammers. Also some really long ratchets for breaker bars almost type. So he's got Matco of those. Let's see what the hammers are. Maybe we can see those. That's made in the USA. I don't know if that's, those two orange ones are Snap-on for sure. I don't know about the green one. I want to say it looks like maybe Snap-on up there, but I don't know 100%. Also has some really big sockets, funnel, and also some more metric sockets down there as well. We'll move on to the next one. So now we're getting into the Matco toolbox. We're away from that Snap-on black one. So my guess is the black Snap-on one, maybe he rolls it around the shop, and then this one probably stays right here in this one spot. So that would be my guess based on what I'm seeing so far. So again, here, more sockets, and he's got the same exact socket holders that I'm using. I actually kind of really like those. And if you use those in combination, you know, you can see the writing on the top of them as far as what the size socket is. But now that I've got the Milwaukee ones with the white letters, I can see that too. So it's really good. So he's got those. Again, lots of tools up in there. Snap-on, Mac tools, Matco tools, sockets, all sorts of things right there. You can kind of pause and zoom in if you want to and take a look at more specifically what those are. Next one down, we got more wrenches. So he's got your standard ones over here on the left that are gear wrench. And then he's also got the flex head right there. I need to get me a set of those. I kind of want a set of those as well. And then a bunch of stubby wrenches up there. Really big wrenches. Those are Snap-ons. He's got a bigger gear wrench that's 1 5/16. Also has a Bauer Sawzall with a metal cutting blade on there. Looks like he just used it recently. I wonder what he cut off with that. Crow's foot over there on the far right. Again, box, double-ended wrench over there, Matco. So lots of wrenches inside of there, inside this last picture. Moving on to the next one. Here's some batteries, chargers, different things like that. So he's running a Ryobi tool of some kind. Bauer, we did see the Milwaukee M12 and M18s. He's got those in there. A couple different flashlights, all plugged in. Next picture. So he's got some ceramic brake pads, or at least a box for that, and then several boxes for calipers. I do see that in there. Let's see, what's that blue box? Is that a Vim tool of some kind? So maybe everything in this drawer has to do with brakes would be my guess. Next picture, we're looking at all his like testing type equipment. So he's got the Snap-on versus Edge, Power Probe lead set, test leads, old Fluke right there. That might be the same old Fluke I've got. It is. So that's the old Fluke that I've got sitting on my workbench all the time. The 77 I believe it is. Yeah, 77 with 3 eyes after it. So it looks like that's the same exact one. Test leads, also relay test jumper kits. So basically electronic type tools, lots of little of the 12-volt little testers. That's the screwdriver and all that stuff up in there. So basically that's his tester drawer. Moving on to the next picture. So it looks like he's got snap ring pliers up there at the top. Let's see, lots of screwdriver, pry bar type things over there on the far right. Another almost like pick set, but looks like maybe some screwdrivers up there at the top too. Small little ratchet set down there at the bottom. He's got some vessel bit set right there. Let's see what this says. 4-piece metric thin wall spark plug socket set. So different tools there. Moving on to the next one. Oh, he's got some writing on here. So timing, Eco Boost for the 2.0, 2.3 Eco Boost. Ford 1.5, 1.6 timing. That one says VW timing, so probably Volkswagen. So these might give you an idea of what kind of cars he works on sometime. So everything in here looks like it's timing tools for Ford, probably Volkswagen for the VM. So it looks like he's got more Ford stuff than anything else. Move on to the next picture. More Ford stuff, timing. There's the Ryobi tool, so he's got a little drill. Let's see, pressure tester by cooling system pressure tester, universal compression tester, ear muffs down there as well. We'll go on to the next one. sandpaper or Scotch Brite, not necessarily sandpaper, die grinder disc, tape measure. So this looks like it's kind of his grab all drawer, and then he's just got stuff in there, hose clamps, Teflon tape, his gloves, GloveWorks gloves, just lots of random stuff there. Next picture, M12 charger, Matco Tools torch, tool aid, almost looks like a rivet type gun or something like that. Maybe that's what that's for. Maddox engine and transmission, oil pressure test kits, Coast screwdriver or Coast flashlight. Looks like a snap-on torch as well. Going to the next one. Here's a Cornwell Tools Master Spring compressor set. Again, speaking Greek to me for the most part. I can build a house probably from nothing, but whenever it comes to a car, if I can watch a YouTube video, I can typically do it, but I don't know what some of these things are or what they would do. That's not my cup of tea. Here's a 14-piece slide hammer hand puller set, so I do have a set of that actually from where I was taking off to change out some bearings on some wheels. So I do actually have a tool. It's not Matco by far. I think mine is Mike could see it up there. I'm not real sure. I got it at Harbor Freight, whatever it is, but I can't remember what the name brand is on it, but I've actually got one of those. So that's what's inside of this drawer. Next drawer looks like a ratchet strap, also a die for a tap and die. Let's see if we can zoom in here. There's a multi-spline extension set, SAE Cornwell. I can't read what the big red box is. I can tell it's Snap-on, but I have no idea what it says. So that's that last picture there. That might be his last one. It is. So there's his name. So again, red Matco box full of all sorts of tools. You can go back and check out any of them. Again, if this is your trade, you'll find more things in here that you might be interested in buying. Going through his red box, there's all the wrenches. There's that top drawer that's always kind of like the money-making drawer of a toolbox. Going back through his Snap-on box now. Again, I'm assuming this is the one that he rolls around probably his shop. There's all the power tools he uses. There's his pliers. So he probably actually gets in this box even more so than his other one. And then here's that fold-up section of the top of the box. It's got the magnetic stuff on there. There's more of it. There's his little cart. There's the Snap-on box from the outside looking at it. There's another picture of that. And then here's the Matco box. That's the first picture that we started with. But there you go, guys. There is Hunter C99's loadout of his Matco toolbox, and then also his rolling Snap-on toolbox. Again, I don't work on vehicles except for my own, so some of those tools I would never even have a clue what they are until my vehicle needs it, and I go and watch a video and I say, I think I can tackle that. I need to buy these tools. So that's the only reason why I have some of the tools that he has, is because it's something that I have actually fixed on my own vehicle. I never work on anyone else's vehicle except for maybe occasionally I might install a car stereo or a rear view camera or something. And that's typically just for friends and family. I don't do that for customers or anything like that. So again, a lot of those things, as I scroll through there, I have no idea what the names of them are whenever I see them. So even if I know what something might do, I don't know what the name of it is unless I was to look it up type thing. So, but again, some of you are probably mechanics as well that maybe watch these videos, because I'm going to guess for sure that's what he is. Again, but some of you that are mechanics, you might see all the tools that he has and you might be able to guess specifically in the comments below. I think Hunter C99 specifically works on this kind of stuff as a mechanic. I think this is kind of his, main thing that he does based on the tools that he has. So if you can help us out by doing that, you can guess down in the comments below. Maybe you've got questions for him. Maybe you saw some tools, some of those wrenches and stuff. Those are kind of universal, like ratcheting flex heads, just ratchet wrenches, sockets, extensions. We all use those in our trade. Mechanics probably use them more often than what maybe I do, but we still all use them in our work. So maybe he had something that you've been looking at and you've got some questions about. Drop those down in the comments below, but don't forget to guess what it is you think Hunter C99 does with all these tools. As always, I hope this video was helpful. You guys stay safe. Have a blessed day. I'll see you in the next video.